Hello everyone, and welcome back to the slot machine. So a little while ago, I began trying to topple what I thought would be a world first by taking on Headspace Knight's 4max challenge, but with the difficulty pushed further by uncapping the game's typical limits. In that video, I had falsely thought that 28 AI would be the highest anyone had ever gone for after my completion of 27, and then came to learn that the highest at the time was actually 29. In light of this realization, I started pushing for a world first by instead going for 30. But on the one night I was away, fellow Headspace Knight slot lover, Seismic Toadfrog, would go on to beat the mode, quickly followed by Hazel here. Ultimately, I resigned myself to the fact that, whilst I wasn't going to be able to go for a world first anymore, I could at least try to push for a world third in this category. This was where we left off last time, with my completion of 27 AI, and both Toad and Hazel's completions of 30. In this video, we're going to push ourselves once more by pursuing Headspace Knight's limits with 30 AI mode. And now with both prior mode victors on my side to help me see this challenge through to the end. At the beginning of the last video, my grind for 28 AI had finally begun, and oh boy, it was rough. I was by now in the thick of exams, study, and yeah. I was having a hard time beating this mode. This struggle went on for days, and I quickly worked out that my issue more than anything was speed. 28 AI calls for some seriously fast pace in order to keep up with the mode, and between my own nerve control, which you're going to get very acquainted with, and my inability to simply go fast, I was struggling to topple this mode. My averages were holding only within the first minute or so, and the amount of study I was putting in led to me only having an hour or so a day to grind the mode properly. My mental fatigue too was no doubt slowing me down here, and I'd be honest if I wasn't saying I was slowly getting turned off the game by this point after having done literally just this and only this for my free time for about 3 weeks at this point. For an idea of progress, my first good 28 AI PB came on day 1, setting the score at a 214 fluke with a death to Mari. In the days that followed, I did not have a single good run. In fact, things weren't looking up for over a week later until I started getting strong runs again and making consistent pushes past that first minute or two. Something I've come to learn is that I'm not very good when it comes to learning these modes, and I generally just kinda suck at these kinds of games. The time period too that I was playing within also was not helping at any capacity, and really only served to exacerbate my frustrations and exhaustion. Kids and wannabe max moders at home, don't be like me and try to use max moding or similar challenges as a way to relax when coping with other forms of stress. I assure you, it is not a healthy idea in the slightest. On the bright side, however, by now I had begun to formulate some sense of a strategy for the mode. Something that Toad had mentioned to me in wake of my completion was what he dubbed the cam cycle, and it more or less consists of always pairing up enemies we handle. Something I've touched upon in more detail in my other videos about this game is how enemy stalling works. Basically, to abbreviate once more again here, certain enemies will prevent other ones from spawning in the night, and in some cases prevent their kill timers from decreasing. We can use this knowledge to our advantage within this mode. Earlier within the video, I said speed was my biggest problem, and it's mainly because of Headspace Hero. On 20 AI, Headspace Hero moves every 18 to 20 seconds. On 27 AI, this is drastically shortened to every 7.5 to 9.5 seconds, and on 28 AI, an even smaller 6 to 8 seconds, granting us a very small window to try and complete our actions before catching him again. This is where that cam cycle is going to come in. By using our knowledge of stalling, we can pair up our main camera enemies into 2 lots, Sweetheart and Kel, and Captain Spacepoint something. So long as one enemy from one pair is active, the other pair's enemies cannot spawn. Knowing this, every time we use the cameras we're going to try and follow a pace of checking Headspace Hero, then dealing with the active camera enemy duo. Should Headspace Hero not be ready for us to place a new cutout at the start of the cam cycle, we can simply deal with him at the end of the cam cycle. Knowing this did make a big difference, and to be honest, I should have probably worked this out sooner, all things considered, but I'm not known for being the most intelligent being out there. Now with this new cycle pace in mind, and an inability to stop for my own well-being, my progress and consistency with the mode began to slowly grow. Something you'll come to learn is that I tend to never fluke modes, and 28 AI was much the same. Nevertheless, I continued to push myself more and more in a seemingly never-ending grind to complete 28 AI, now with the knowledge that this was in fact nowhere near the end of what would be the challenge now. Could even say it felt like some sort of hopeless pursuit. 7 days grew further, and my mental state was, declining. And if you think I'm done bitching about being tired, oh my sweet innocent summer child. By day 10, the fatigue had set in, and I was really starting to cramp up on my own playstyle.
Doubt had begun to creep in even worse than when I was doing 27 AI, and honestly, worst came to worst, I could always drop the mode and return a while later until I proceeded to do something rather unexpected.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is 28 AI. Oh, Christ. Man.
Now this was truly something. But dear viewer, there's something you might have failed to notice. Can you see hidden in plain sight since the beginning of the recording? Well shit. Yep, I had left Sunny at 27 AI, a setting that, all things considered, makes literally no difference on how this mode is played, but does technically invalidate the entire run. This realization meant two things to me. On one hand, I had just proved that I could complete a mode that was pretty much 28 AI in all but slight technicality, but on the other hand, come my next completion, I was no doubt going to have significantly worse nerves, knowing it was going to be a legit... Hey, am I the only one hearing the music? Oh wait, shit, are we serious?
There we go. Finally. Yeah. Just in case you don't think 1728 plus 1 on 27 counts, I've done it properly now.
Well damn, I didn't see that coming. And after just a single shower and about 20 minutes of replaying, my 10-day grind had come to an end, and far less dramatically than I'd expected. I was playing well out of the prime of my day and just sort of stomped this mode. Although get this, I wasn't recording the audio of it. Piss. So the next day, for the sake of some better footage in case I wanted to use it, I rebeat it again and posted that as the proof on the channel. Speaking of which, you can now find all my raw proofs in 2 designated playlists. One is for all the modes I do for videos, main or intermission, while the others are just random modes I do for the hell of it. I'll publicly post most raw proofs unless holding off on them for some sort of surprise, and I'll list them after about a week. You'll be able to find all these previous completions here once unlisted. I'd also like to say now that if you do enjoy these videos at all, as all YouTubers say in their shameless plugs like these, to like and subscribe. Of course, this is only if you're actually enjoying the video and are interested in these stupid mentally taxing challenges I do. I assure you, there is plenty more to come, and there'll be a few other non-max mode stuffs as these short videos in the future too. Well, with 28 AI suddenly beaten, it now came time to begin scaling the real wall, 30 AI. Now in the last video, I explained that the growth in Headspace Night's difficulties is rather exponential when talking about uncapped levels. Well, if going from 27 to 28 took me 10 days, then you can just imagine what 30 AI was about to do to me. Once again, the start was rough, except where with 28 AI I'd consistently been pushing 40 seconds to a minute in the first day or two, I couldn't get to 40 seconds on a good run here for 30. The pace has truly gone insane. Hero's 11-second rule from last time? Yeah, make that shit about 4 seconds. Amori spawn timer? How about literally 1 second? 27 seconds for Jawsome? No, you're getting 10 seconds at max. And Headspace Hero, the powerhouse of 28 AI's main skill curve, is now significantly worse. Viewer, try and guess what his timer was now. If you said 3 to 5 seconds, then you'd be correct. And seriously, how in the fuck is this remotely doable? Obviously, 30 AI features a huge skill jump when approaching it, and naturally it requires far more effort and, the fuck? Exploits. You see, something I didn't know about until talking to Hazel and Toad is that there is a seriously easy exploit that tanks the difficulty of 30AI's skill curve. When playing on high AI levels, primarily 30 but also 29 and 28, Mari will spawn super often as their spawn timer gets ridiculously low, to the point of potentially going negative on 30AI. What can then happen is a situation in which Hero is sitting on your right door and Mari is falling from the left. If Mari is falling from the left side and you clear Hero from the right, Mari can immediately spawn on the right side due to the stalling mechanics inbuilt into the game. This causes a ghost Mari, befitting, to be stuck in the left door while normal Mari does a typical attack on the right door. Once normal Mari is cleared, the right door will function as per normal, but the left door is now bugged as the game still thinks that there is a Mari there. This causes the game to stall door characters from the left side, in turn removing a Mari entirely and forcing every other door character to attack from the right. With only one door free, all door characters stall one another when active, effectively meaning you have to handle a single door-based threat at a time. Now this exploit is quite literally game-breaking, as we can wipe one character from the roster and force the others to come at us one at a time. Now actually executing this exploit was something that I was just wildly inconsistent with, but had tripped a few times in gameplay. Generally however, I would choke out entirely because I'd grow flustered from the sudden change of gameplay and completely forget about an enemy like Headspace Mari or Kel as a result. Atop this, I had completed 28 AI on the 7th of November and rebeat it a day later. Now this would have been a call for celebration if it weren't for the fact that the week following was going to be my worst one with exams yet, with 4 finals back to back to back to back. Obviously, this meant that my time for the Headspace grind set was now going to be slashed significantly, and my fatigue was at an all-time high. In turn, I tanked hard like I'd said earlier when I began, and the average run was probably around the 20-second range, with a couple pushing 40s at best. Nevertheless, I continued to push, one evening turning to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, with little progress. My PB in this time was a single fluke out to 2 minutes, and a 2.5 minute fluke with the exploit active. At this time too, I'd made the decision to complete both variations of the challenge, but go for no exploits first. You see, no exploits is ranked at 105 on the AML as of writing. Using the exploit does eliminate quite a bit of mode difficulty. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very fast and hard challenge, and honestly, I found it required more mental processing and adjustment to handle than the raw speed and muscle memory of standard 30 mode. Nevertheless, it still sits at 178 on the AML for completing with the exploit. What the fuck? Moving swiftly onwards, it had become clear to me very fast that despite my best efforts, my state of constant mental stress and fatigue clearly weren't viable for trying to complete this mode. The only good thing to come of this time was a fluke that nearly beat 29 AI, pushing my PB with that mode to a 345 one night. If nothing else, that was something good amidst everything else going on. Try as I might, I was just stuck, and in the end was forced to put the game down for a few days again and come back for the latter end of the week. With 2 giant exams back to back on the Thursday, Friday, I was chewing up every available hour of my waking consciousness to learn everything in preparation. Exams were not fun, but eventually I did make it through and returned on Friday to let the grind continue. What came to follow were days and days once again trying and failing to make progress. The PBs, unchanged. My skill, not getting better, at least not noticeably. The averages, stuck. It wasn't until a week later that I finally began to see what looked like improvement. Consistent 1-minute runs and even a few getting as far as 2 minutes. This put some kickback into me that perhaps it wouldn't all be for nothing now, and I'd finally push into that 4-minute goal sometime soon. Well, after over a week of playing this game every single day for at least an hour and a half, this finally happened.
Oh fuck, no. Oh my god.
In a total fluke, I blew my PB on 30 AI all the way out to a whopping 326 from a best of around 2.5 minutes. A staggering explosion in the time that ended only due to a fault from nerves. Marvelous. Now flukes generally don't indicate consistency, and I was already resigned to that fact that I probably wouldn't be seeing a new PB like this anytime soon. But nevertheless, I sat down to keep playing, and only 40 minutes later would go on to have this run. here, at the minute 45 mark, I tripped the Mari exploit by accident. Until now, I hadn't had a bugged run that would survive beyond the first 20 seconds of triggering it, simply because I wasn't able to handle the sudden mental shift. But today was different, and as if on total autopilot, the muscles in my body kicked into overdrive, and what followed was truly something.
Oh my god. Oh. Yes, finally. Oh my god, it's over. Kinda. I still gotta do it, but
Despite truly awful nerves that had my hands violently trembling and my lungs feeling as if they were being crushed under the sheer stress of the moment, I pushed through and had finally managed it. My first win of 30 AI, even with the exploit. To say I was happy was probably an understatement, although it was bittersweet. Yes, I had in fact just conquered 30 AI, but I'd done it with the exploit, the easy way so to speak. If I really wanted that third victor title I was craving, I still had a ways to go. Never have I experienced a more painful mode to play until now. To give an idea of the time sunk into this mode, completing HE30 with the exploit came at what was a week 3 of grinding 30 AI, and week 5 of playing Headspace Night at uncapped levels. Truth be told, the motivation to play this mode had evaporated by now, and I was running on nothing but fumes and the dream of a hopeful fluke. Playing this game had become a daily chore, just something I woke up knowing I was going to have to try and fit in somewhere during my day. I had long since passed having fun with the game and was now in something like my 35-20 scenario, where the only reason I was playing was to make this video and be rid of this challenge. Things were down and bleak, and I can honestly say that in retrospect, I'm almost impressed with myself for managing to turn an otherwise enjoyable and fun game into such a daily burden to complete. This truly was becoming a hopeless pursuit. No power generator. Having Hazel and Toad along for the ride did help keep me somewhat motivated, and knowing that this was going to be a part 2 to an existing video meant that, if nothing else, the sunk cost fallacy was holding strong in driving me towards a still unseeable finish line. I'd continued to see runs in the 2-minute range but seemingly couldn't make it back to that 3-minute mark anymore. I knew by now that my nerve control was horrendous, and very slowly I was growing better at not watching the timer throughout the night. But even still, I couldn't always push myself and would fold from literally no pressure around this point. If nothing else, that 326 PB did mean I'd made some progress, but Hazel reminded me at the time that ultimately it was a fluke and it likely meant that it was going to take another week, like I'd said, to grow back to that point. A sentiment you will come to learn was far more accurate than he possibly could have realized. It took 6 days to break this wall. 6 days of playing, dying, and just all throughout it feeling like total shit. I didn't even have anything funny to say throughout this portion because it was just a miserable experience in its entirety. A miserable, frustrating, aggravating experience. By the 24th of November, 6 days after the 326, I was beginning to contemplate just giving up. This mode had become a huge tax on my mental well-being, physical well-being at times, and just a total drag on day-to-day life, and completion was really looking like a hopeless pursuit no power generator release version 1.6.5. Perhaps I could simply do something else for the video like 27 AI 3 times in a row, because frankly I saw myself taking that on sooner than I did 30 AI. But late that afternoon, I set into motion the final cogs of the challenge.
oh my god.
Incredible. This death was proof of both my growing consistency, with average runs slightly pushing further until now, but also a massive punch to the gut. My biggest fear was another 6-day war would follow, and I was terrified by now that it would take some insane amount of time to even get remotely close to having another chance at making it through to the end. However, I'd go on to prove myself wrong that same night, as only a few hours later, on a random whim, I'd go and do this. Now this death was a real slap in the nuts. The end had been right there. 8 more seconds and this journey of suffering would have finally been over. And yet all it took was a simple fumble with the mouse to completely invalidate all this build-up. My microphone was actually accidentally muted, but all you need to know is that the word no was said a lot of times on repeat, and I'm almost glad that it wasn't on because I was genuinely miserable after this death. I tried playing afterwards but threw in the towel and went to bed. No amount of grinding was going to get the mode done this night, with the cocktail of nerves and disappointment I was now overrun with. Instead, I awoke the next day, now at least slightly more reinvigorated to see the end of this challenge through. The 25th of November. Day 29 of running 30 AI near exclusively. I started the day with a short live stream, something I hadn't done much of until this point while playing a bit of 30 AI and chatting with Hazel and Toad in between. By now, Hazel had begun working on beating HE31, and had sort of challenged me to see who could win first. Hazel with 31 AI or me with 30. What Hazel couldn't have predicted, however, was just how soon this race was about to come to an end. A few hours after the livestream, I sat down for one more session of HE30 attempts for the day. Mentally, I had issued myself an ultimatum that morning, that if I couldn't beat the mode today, that I would likely have to throw in the towel, as the rest of the week was going to be filled with work, effectively slashing all my time for grinding. My first run was short and I died to some stupid Basil death, but the second run was something else entirely. 6 weeks of build-up and grinding, of pain, mental distress and frustration and all came to the forefront in this one 4-minute session, and at 3:01 PM on the 25th of November, I finally managed to close it out. Oh, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over. 6 fucking weeks, bro, it's fucking over. Ugh. Oh my god, 6 weeks, 6 fucking weeks. It's over, it's over. Upon completion, a state of almost delirium and shock rolled over me. This journey, 6 weeks of my life spent on what was supposed to be a fun little side project to relax with, ended not in some triumphant moment on a live stream or grand finale, but instead the sort of quiet whimper with which it started. Just a quick random run on my own one afternoon. But alas, after so much anger, frustration, and time spent, it was over. Thank you all so much for watching. This project snowballed into something much larger than I'd really anticipated, especially for a side project video. My next intermission video will not be something this big, but I'll still be doing some sort of challenge. I've got 2 ideas I'm tossing between, though neither of which are actually max mode related. I think I need a break from a max mode, at least for a minute, although I already know what the next one's gonna be. SSM is still on the table, but I'm now questioning if that will be what you're getting next. We'll wait and see. It may or may not be the next project, I don't know. In the meantime, I really hope you liked this video. I am sick, so I'm sorry about that. It's probably fucked a bit of my voiceover. Pardon me. It's probably fucked a bit of my voiceover, and I may not sound entirely like myself. I also think my microphone's been knocked somewhere. I don't really know how, but I've noticed a change in how it sounds. So I may or may not get a new one if it is something mic-related and not just constrained to the new setup. This video was hell to make. I've been sick, obviously, but today's the only day I can record. I don't think I'm going to get it out because it's being recorded the day before it comes out. It's meant to release tomorrow. It's likely going to be 2 or 3 days from now. I guess I'll comment or put it in the description whether that was the case or not. But I really do hope that you've enjoyed it. There's a few people I'd like to thank. I really owe Hazel and Toad a huge thank you for support and tips in beating this mode. If it weren't for them, I genuinely think I would have just burned in and not done it, or done exploits and not come back for no exploit. But having 2 people there who I was actively engaging with really helped keep the drive going to finish the video and the mode. I also like to thank Strike for ever really getting me into Headspace Night with his guide video. Like, if I hadn't watched that, I would never have done Headspace Emissary and later My Time, and now this. Interesting how one video can snowball, like one video that I've watched can snowball into something like this. I also want to thank Matt Wachowski for obviously making the game. This is still my favorite max mode. And I don't think it's even close to anything else I've played. Out of all like the classic FNAF games, UCN Recode, I've played a little bit of Deluxe as well. I think this easily is still my favorite. I think up until the Uncapped stuff, it's very well balanced. Obviously with anything Uncapped, it's never tuned for that. So I never, while I might complain it's not fair, I do say that obviously it was never balanced or intended to be at that point. So I think that's probably a more fair assessment. I think this will probably be the end of my journey with Headspace Night, for now at least. I may or may not come back, but it's not looking likely in the near future. I'm ready for a break. Doing this for 6 weeks has ruined me, and I really need to just pause, take a step back, because this was meant to be something I do on the side while grinding the next max mode for the main video, and now that main video is probably going to be delayed because of this, which I don't want to be the case, but it's likely going to be a February release, hopefully start of Feb. Worst comes to worst, it might be a little later. I think I know what it's going to be. If I do it in that time, that's great. If I don't, shit, not good. Right now, it's not looking like that'll be the case, but who knows? Maybe I'll get really lucky and it'll all be done really soon. But we'll see, we'll see. In the meantime, like I said, I hope you enjoyed watching. Generic like and subscribe plug here, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.